Riley Shaffer, thanks for joining us on the Illinois channel, and it's so good for you to join us today. And we are taking a look at the life in the United States and in Illinois right now during the COVID shutdown. And you came to our attention because you recently filed suit against the governor um, because your business has been shut down, and you think, as I take it, that this is unjust. So rather than me say what you did it for, tell us why you sued the governor and what is it that you hope to achieve by that?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me first and foremost. I actually filed suit against the governor because I he's preventing me from working and I feel like it is wrong and I want to be able to open my doors and I keep telling everyone that we are what stops infectious disease. We stop the spread of any of that and we actually are really safe and we know how to sterilize, sanitize and disinfect. We know every the meaning of each means and we are certified and able to. We've spent thousands of dollars on our education. And here at Bow and Arrow, we already take one client at a time. So from here on out, we're only going to take one client at a time, 6 feet apart, taking every precaution. And I feel like we could have opened a month ago, if not, like maybe at May 1st when we were told that we could open. So I think that my main reason is because I stand behind my business and I want to stand up for myself, my employees, and other people in my industry and prove that we can work, that we should be considered essential. So I hope to get out of this that we will win and we can open our doors and start accommodating all of our guests again.
Tell us, you're a young, very young business owner. How long have you had your business, and what motivated you at such a young age to go into business for yourself?
Yeah, my dad, he has owned his own business since he was like, I don't know, 23 or so. And he's an auctioneer. And obviously, that's why I talk a lot. But I just kind of followed in his footsteps growing up, having that entrepreneur mindset. And so I knew exactly when I was at a young age that one day I wanted to own my own business. And so I have been in business for 3 years since last week, actually. Happy birthday to Bow and Arrow. And it has taken a lot of hard work and dedication to build the business that I have built. So for me to get something taken underneath my feet and taken away from me that seems so disrespected towards me, hurtful, and I just don't know how much longer I can take this going on.
Now that you've been in business for these 3 years, how was it? Did it take you a long time to build up your clientele? And kind of what I'm getting at is not only tell us how long, if you weren't allowed to reopen, how long can you last? Number one, and how hard is it to make a living? I've been in business, but certainly not in your business. And if you close down, the thing is, it's not necess. I suspect it's not necessarily true that you could just reopen. What's all involved in building the business, and how damaging is this shutdown been to your business?
Absolutely. I tell every employee that starts at Bow and Arrow that I have rebuilt my clientele almost 5 times. I lived in Chicago. I started there. I moved home. I got pregnant or I found out I was pregnant while I was opening the salon, which was super stressful. And I then decided that I wanted to start doing extensions because we're an extension specialty salon. So I have literally built my clientele more times than most people do in their whole career of doing hair. And it's just because I've moved and I had different journeys and different paths that I've wanted to take. And so for me, I really don't think that it's hard. If I had to pick up and move somewhere else because our state is not about small businesses, I would be okay with that. But I think it's very damaging. A lot of people are sitting there saying, well, you got the PPP loan and you're fine. Well, what they don't get is that that was accounted for up until May 1st. We're expecting to be open after May 1st. So that's what that was for. Secondly, our overhead it doesn't cover my overhead. My overhead is an insanely amount here with color. My rent is out the roof, my utilities, all of those things that people need to take into consideration. I think it's very damaging. I feel like this is going to be awful whenever we get back to doing hair. We're going to have to raise our prices. We're going to have to charge for all the PPE that we spent the money on, all of those things. So for me, I really don't think that if I had to pick up and move, it would actually be a good thing. But it wouldn't be hard to rebuild my clientele. But I think that the fear in me is damaging kind of wallet for my future.
You, I believe, have talked to a variety of other people. Have you? I think you've heard from some others since you filed the suit. Other salon owners, I take it. What are they telling you? What kind of response? And if you have talked to them about the impact of the COVID shutdown on their businesses, what are you hearing?
Yeah, that's a great question. I just before I got on this call, I had a salon owner from the Chicagoland area who actually had called me. She texted me, "Can we chat? Are you free?" And I knew exactly what it was going to be about, and I was like, "I need to talk to her." So she called me and she asked me all the questions: how to file a suit, what attorney, all of those things. I had another Chicagoland salon owner from this morning text me asking me the same questions, and I immediately helped her. And I think that more people should. Another lady from Washington, Illinois messaged me wanting to file a suit. More and more people are coming out and taking a stand for their business, and they're filing suits as well. Whether it's today or tomorrow, they're taking that stand and they know that they have to do what they have to do for their business. Every business owner that I have talked to about this say the exact same thing that I say. We built our business from the ground up, and we will continue to fight. And if we have to do it again, we will do it over and over again. So, yeah, I've had multiple people reach out to me, and they are all wanting to do the same thing. And I think it's great that as an industry, we're all coming together and helping each other and really sticking up and standing up for ourselves.
You had mentioned just before we started in talking about these lawsuits that you were saying somebody's that this might be moved to the federal court from Illinois courts.
Yeah, apparently it's going to be moved to the federal court system. I don't really have much information on that, but she did message me and say, "Hey, I just need you to know that my lawsuit got moved to the federal court system because she's thinking that they don't want it in our local courthouses and that it's more of a scare tactic." So I don't really know much about that. I'm supposed to speak with her later, and I would love to find out and tell everyone about it. But also, I just don't really have the information fully for that. I think it'd be interesting to see how that plays out, honestly. I think that it is a huge scare tactic, but I'm not really sure.
The governor often says reminds the reporters that before he was governor, he was in business and likes to say, he understands business. If you, as one business owner to another, if you had the governor's ear, what would you be telling him? He would argue that he's trying to save lives. What would you be telling the governor since you're suing him? You're obviously having a disagreement with his approach to the lockdown.
Yeah, I think that's a great question as well because me and my friend, we were actually talking earlier, and I was like asking, was he a businessman? Like, I guess I don't know much background about him. So we were researching it, and we found that, his family owns like the Hyatt or something. I don't really remember. So, and it said that he was a businessman. And so, but for me, I feel like that's completely different than a small business. When I look at that, I'm like, oh, it's, the Hyatt, it's a big corporate company, totally different than Bow and Arrow or your local, little Joe mom and pop stores around in Springfield or wherever you are. But if I had to talk to him, I would tell him, hey, like, are you going to plan on doing this every like flu season or in the fall, in the winter? Like, what's our game plan? Because us as business owners need to be able to prepare for things like that. I don't think it's fair at all because, like I said, we are responsible for stopping any spreading of any infectious disease. So I would also tell him that. I would tell him too that, I was a Paul Mitchell the school graduate in Chicago. one of the best, it was the best cosmetology school in the nation. And 85% of what we learned was sanitation. And we continue to do that every single day. I see stylists all over the world right now posting that they are taking the barbicide test to show their clients that, hey, we are up to date on our education and our sanitation. We want to do this for them. We want to do this to make sure that they are feeling better coming into our salons, getting their hair done, and making sure that they're taken care of.
It's surprising to have someone as young as you in business, and I think it's exactly the kind of thing this state should be welcoming, a young entrepreneur who takes on the risk. You know, a lot of people will accept the paycheck. Very few people will go out and generate the business and try to live or die based upon how much business they can bring in. So kudos to you, and you're not the kind of person that we want the state of Illinois to be losing. For those who say, though, that, you know, you're putting the dollar ahead of safety and other people's lives, I'm kind of curious, when you hear from your clients, they would be putting their lives at risk too if you use that argument by coming together. What are your clients saying? Are they willing to come in? Are they eager to come back and come to the salon that you have, or what?
Yeah, it's crazy because about 85% of my clientele, or our clientele at Bow and Arrow, are nurses.
Is that right?
And they're all nurses, and most of them want to get their hair done. Honestly, most of them are kind of confused too. I feel like they're being lied to. They don't really know what the truth is. They just really don't know what's going on. And I have a client from Bloomington. Her mom went to New York for like 9 or 12 days, I don't really remember, to be a nurse there. And she messaged me asking me if I was doing hair to do her daughter's hair. And I just kind of looked and I was like, she went to New York. So I asked her, I was like, hey, I've been meaning to message you and ask you your thoughts on all of this. And it was a very interesting conversation. So most of our nurses are kind of confused right now, and they're all begging, can we come in your back door and get her hair done, blah, 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 which is great. But, you know, I could debate about that all day, because I don't think that we're putting our dollar amount before anyone's safety. We were the first salon in Springfield to shut our doors because we wanted to do our due diligence, and we wanted to look out for not only ourselves, our employees, and our consumers. We wanted to look out for our community. So we said, hey, we're going to shut our doors, and whenever we're able to reopen, we'll reopen, expecting it to be a few weeks or a month, no big deal. But I think that, you know, coming into numbers per se, I'm a huge numbers person. I've done the research, and I definitely think that there are more people that die from a car crash or the flu every single year. So I just don't understand why we're living our lives in fear. I think that if we can be the leaders and step up and stop the spread of any infectious disease, it's our job as hairstylists to do that. Why aren't we doing it? So that's my message to people, is that we are here to stop the spread, and we are here to help people, especially with their mental health. And we can do all of those things if we can open our doors back up. I don't care about the dollar amount. I tell people that all the time. I don't care. I truly care about being a good person and helping others. I believe in karma, and I think when you're good karma will come your way. I just do what I do every single day I love what I do. It's my passion. Yes, it pays my bills, but it is my absolute passion. I love being around people. I love making women feel beautiful, and I love talking to people every single day. So I think that that's something I could debate all day long.
I take it, though, the thing is, as you said, you were willing to be shut down for a month. You understood that the need for that. Absolutely. But right now, I would also, to interpret what you're saying, I think that you're also kind of at a loss when you have no end zone. You know, it's like, tell me how long, but right now it's an open-ended, and you're not telling me when I can reopen, and you're not giving me a chance to take precautions to protect my clientele, to protect myself and my workers. And yet at the same time, you're allowing people to go into grocery stores and to go into some of the local big box stores and big box hardware stores. So I take it that when you would make the point that the small businessman is kind of getting the short end of the stick, whereas the bigger stores are being allowed to continue to be in business.
Yeah, I feel as if
I know I'm putting words in your mouth, but I mean, that's what
Yeah,
I'm
no,
hearing, that as far as an argument.
absolutely.
And
I feel as if they're allowing bigger businesses to stomp all over the small people. We are the backbones of, all of our money goes in back into our community, our tax dollars and everything. Without us, we wouldn't have what we have in our communities. So yeah, I think that that's wrong. I think it's wrong that I can go into Menards and buy flowers and, you know, not take my 2.5-year-old because husband's working and he's a correctional officer, like get kicked out. I just don't see eye to eye with it. And maybe that's why I, did a little research on Pritzker and him being a businessman today, is because I was confused on what type of businessman he was or is. And yeah, that's something I could argue all day. And I know that I see memes and stuff on Facebook all the time about it. Why is this okay, but taking a walk in the park is not okay? So it's things like that that kind of make me aggravated. Why can I go into Lowe's? I went in there and there was hundreds of people in there and they were swamped. Like people getting in fights because cashiers weren't helping them. And I can't have one client at a time with each of my stylists here. Like that just is unfair to me.
before we close out, how many people work for you? And just share with me, if you would, just some of your thoughts on being an entrepreneur and why you chose this life.
Yeah, I have 2 other employees that work for me. We're still growing, obviously, and I've found that it's pretty hard to find other hairstylists that want to work just as hard as you, unless they're an entrepreneur and they have a business like I have. So that's kind of hard to find, and that's okay. I love my little team, and we're great. We're like, sisters. We're like a family, and that's super important. But, I chose this route because I actually always wanted to do hair. And so when I went to school, I just always had a positive attitude and always said yes to every opportunity that came my way. I was known as someone who was a leader, and I could see myself as a leader. I was stubborn, and I still am. And hence why I'm doing a suit against the governor, because I have that stubborn attitude about me, and that's okay. I just feel as if I can lead other people. I don't want a boss to tell me kind of what to do. I want to be able to lead that way. I feel like I see different visions and on that aspect of it. So I absolutely love being an owner and a boss. It's hard and it's not for everyone. I actually have a friend in Colorado who's debating on opening a salon or just staying in a suite. And me and my other friend from Arkansas keep telling her, it's not for everyone. We're not going to tell you to go do it because it's definitely not easy, but it's rewarding and it pays the bills. But, this is all I know. Like, I'm a third generation in my family of owning my own business, So to me, it's what I know. I would rather be an entrepreneur than work for a big corporate company. That's just how I was raised.
Right. I came from a family of entrepreneurs, so I identify with it. I'm kind of smiling as you're saying, both because I'm encouraged by what you're saying, but also I know, you have to be willing. When things go wrong, you're not an employee. You're the person. You're the backstop. You're the person that has to make everything happen, whether the sinks back up or whatever happens and goes wrong. It falls on your lap. So. You're right. You have to be having that kind of a personality that you're willing to take that on. And often, when there's not enough money to go around, you got to pay the employees and you take what's left. So you're doing sometimes more work for less pay than if you were just working for someone else.
Right. Absolutely.
Well, Riley Shaffer, we so much appreciate you visiting with us and sharing your thoughts. Good luck to you. We hope you are allowed to reopen very soon, along with the other people.
Yes.
And
thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
All right. Well, thank you so much, and we'll speak soon.
Okay.
Thanks for watching, and if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to our channel. And while you're at it, please leave us a comment. Thank you for watching.